Okay, we are back. Trapped Offside season review. It's been a crazy season. For Pete, Emma Hayes, the Chelsea Blues women's team had outdoing everyone.
One and only.
The one and only.
Claiming everything. Claiming something, huh?
Man, come on. Every time we're talking about men, let's show some gender equality.
Yeah.
Let's support the women. Come
Yeah.
on, guys. Let's
Always.
it's 2023 now. Show the women some support. Come on, women in power and all
Let's
that.
go.
Too.
Sam Kerr, Emma Hayes.
And and we have the United fans back in the building, of course. Interesting.
Wait, hold up. You want to claim the team, right? Tell me at least 3 players from the women's team, please.
All right, let's not get into this. Can we just
Want
can
to
we just
test
start?
my
Please?
Chelsea
Let's just
women's
start.
knowledge? I don't think you want
11, bro.
I don't
I got a very strict rule. Can we just start? He'll name all the 15. Trust me. He had spoken more about after the World Cup.
Burton came in looking like Enzo Fernandez.
This year's Women's World Cup. Just be ready for it. Sam Kerr masterclass. Okay.
He has
Anyway,
the list behind his screen. It's all good.
yeah, it's all good. Anyway, the United fans back. Will get their take on their season. Arsenal as well. I'm sure Kunaal has a lot to say. I'm sure Maranol also has a lot to say. So
About Arsenal, he doesn't care about United. He only cares about Arsenal.
He's been cooking the past few days.
Maranol came to cook. He says so. We're all ready here for some chefing. I hope they brought the hot pans and all the ingredients.
We're here live at
So
Bananas.
we're ready. So where we start? Let's start top of the table. Arsenal.
Manchester City.
Well,
Which city are we looking at? Christmas.
based on
Bro,
who's here,
Christmas is long gone.
top of the table. Well,
There's no such
City
thing
fans.
as a City fan. They don't exist.
So
They're all Manchester United fans that started getting some brains. You know, that's what happened.
Firstly, let's give City their credit. It's
Yeah,
really
go
hard.
ahead.
It's really
Speak
hard
on City.
creating their dynasty. We're calling them all plastic fans, but the one thing we got to give credit to is Pep Guardiola. I mean, to maintain a well-oiled machine of City. I mean, no matter how much money you spend, you got to make sure the team is playing well. And one thing you've seen from City is they've kept evolving over the seasons. And to maintain such a high level of just performance year in, year out, I think you just need to give congratulations to City, and that's about it.
Yeah, I think I just want to add a little bit to that as well. Oh, go ahead, Kunaal.
I was going to say, like, there's no other team that gets better as the season goes along the way that City does. Like, no other team can just progress. And even with the goal-scoring machine Haaland, you still have other guys that started cooking like later on this season that they brought in, last year, and every single position has a filler. So regardless of if they have injuries, whatever's going on, tactical changes, they're always set up for success, which is terrifying.
Exactly as you said, and the new formation that he's inventing, this like 3-2-4-1 type vibe, insane.
I don't think there's any
John
numbers
Stones
that we can put into that formation. Yeah.
Yeah, he's turned John Stones into like a world-class CDM / right back-ish, some sort of hybrid space. I don't even know what he's doing with him. But
inverted fullback, inverted centre back is what they call it.
Yeah, it's weird. It's weird how he's playing it. There's just no words for it. And how they just attack is just relentless. It's non-stop. It's scary. It's strange. It's incredible. And how they still manage to press and not be killed on the counter-attack, I don't understand it. Because anybody else who plays that, I mean,
attack is insane, but they're also so defensively sound at the same
exactly.
time.
Because we've seen sorry, Jacob. Let me just finish this. We've actually seen what a back three can look like, when it's not done well, like Chelsea, and you can see how leaky that can really be, with terms of goals. Isn't that right, Jacob and Bert? Is that correct? Yeah, and Ahmed, yeah. I'm just checking.
A back 3, a back 4, a back 5. We had a lot of backs.
Bro.
So we got.
We could play a back 8 and still lose 2-3 now. So.
No, but I think I think my player of the season for City was Bernardo Silva. I don't think he gets enough credit through the season
Player of the
But oh
season?
my
No, I
God.
don't know.
I
Player of the
feel
season,
It's
though.
still Haaland, bro.
Keep aside. Okay,
How
I'm
many
not talking
goals
about
did Haaland have
Leave
this season?
leave
Haaland has more
Haaland.
goals
Leave
than
Haaland.
Chelsea, bro. What are you saying?
Oh my God, Kunal, can
Well,
you
he has
wait?
more goals than United,
Leave
too.
Haaland, leave De Bruyne. These guys, we know that they're always going to deliver. Yeah, but I'm talking about Bernardo Silva as a player from the right. It was something else. Every game he turned up. He did bring life to the whole City team when they were down as well. By the way, it's not just Haaland. Obviously, Haaland scores goals. De Bruyne assists. De Bruyne scores. But I think Bernardo Silva needs to be given a lot of credit for his
Yeah, no,
performance
I
no,
think
100%. I
through the
think
entire season.
he definitely needs the credit, Jithin, for sure. He's such an underrated player. We've mentioned it a couple of times.
Yeah.
Obviously, we haven't said on the shows. He's just a very underrated player. Yes, he didn't start a lot of the games at the start of the season. I mean, it was mostly Foden in there. Grealish was there. Mahrez was there, and then Gundogan too is another player of the same ilk
Yeah.
as Bernardo Silva. But player of the season, because you mentioned that, that's why I
Yeah.
was like, oh, player of the season, for me, would be Haaland, but
No,
definitely Bernardo
definitely.
Silva is a really
yeah,
badly
and
underrated player. So is Ilkay Gundogan too, in my opinion.
yeah, and that's why we have
Most
to give
most
credit
improved,
to.
most improved has
Yeah,
been
go on,
Grealish
Jacob.
though. Grealish has
Yeah,
changed
Grealish has gone
from the
like from
last
what he was
season.
last season, and that's why I'm saying
Yes.
we have to give credit to Pep Guardiola because he keeps the whole team happy. You can't have such a big squad, and all high-profile players, all these players on the bench, even they get in
Mhm.
Premier League, any starting 11.
Yeah,
Right?
it's
So you
amazing
have to
that
give
he made a
credit to Pep for keeping all
120
of them.
million pound player perform. Crazy.
Can I
Who was
ask for a
120
thought?
million pound player?
Uh,
Bernardo wasn't a world-class player before
No,
he
I'm
came in. Yeah,
talking about Grealish. It was
he wasn't
100,
class
100
world
million, right?
class. One Grealish, but apart from that, Rodri,
No, I'm
Bernardo
just joking.
Silva,
No, he's
Kevin De
amazing.
Bruyne.
Pep's the best
Yeah,
manager
exactly.
in this generation, 100%, without a
No,
doubt.
but you have to be real about it. Like
And-
you wouldn't get this City domination without Pep. None of this happens without Pep Guardiola.
Coming to that,
Yeah.
what if he does the three-peat and he leaves next season? I don't know, but I'm saying, what if he does the three-peat
He's
and he
not
decides
leaving.
to leave?
He said he's staying.
The
think
only
he
way
said
I
he's staying.
see him leaving is if he wants a break from football. Like if you think about the
Exactly.
possibilities of where he could go, where is he going to go?
No, for a
There's
break.
nowhere
I
else
think
he
he
can
also
go.
said
The
that he
only
wants to take
place
a break, right?
the only place I could see him
Once,
going
long
after
back.
City would be back to Barcelona. But that's not going to happen.
Barcelona, yeah.
I don't think
And-
Xavi's leaving. So
Yeah.
that's
Do you know what? Do you know what? I think there is a couple things about Pep. I think he could go to PSG. I think that just to win a title every season, either PSG or like a Juventus, that's where I see him. Just to win in every single sort of league that there is, I can see him doing that if he were to leave. Grealish though, I've got a bit of a plot twist about him. He's improved leaps and bounds. You can see that in the game, but his numbers
has this-
don't really back it up. His numbers
You know
don't
what?
back it up.
Yeah, but
Grealish has never been a GA player. Like his game is like dribble, creating
Fouls,
chances.
hold
Yeah,
up
like
plays.
those passes, like attracting defenders. That's Grealish's game. Like even if you look back at like his Aston Villa days, and he wasn't a GA player. Like even when we used to do fantasy and all that, like we wouldn't pick Grealish because at the end of the day he's going to create all those chances, but he's not at the final assist or goal is not really coming from him. Like rarely does it come.
I wish they had hockey assist as a stat in football, because just the pass before the assist, that would be interesting to see, like how he performs for that. Like opens up the play to give it to a De
yeah,
Bruyne
but
or
he
whoever.
creates so much space,
And-
kills so many defenders.
I think.
Yeah.
But this is one of the problems. This is one of the problems of modern day football is we look so much at GAs. GA is just a stat. But if you have the eye test, if you look at the eye test, all of us can agree the way Grealish was integrated in the system is so important. And that's what I'm saying. Sometimes, the stats don't really conceptualize what that player brings to a team or that formation or the structure of the team, and so these sometimes modern football, because of a lot of stats, and like nowadays there's so many different stats, XG, things like that, it just is overwhelming. But sometimes it's also really important to have that eye test, watch a player day in and day out. And for us last season, where we were like, you know what, City definitely spent a lot on Grealish to this season, and yet last season they still won the Premier League title. To this season, to see him grow and improve, and actually get used to that system, playing within a team rather than in Aston Villa. He was a lot more of he could do kind of a free roaming role. In a fixed oil machine of City, he has a certain way of playing in certain half spaces to be at, kind of touches he needs to play, one touches, two touches. And I think getting Haaland in there kind of even helped Grealish because they have this little connection between them. I mean, obviously KDB has a really good connection with Haaland, but there was something that like they really bonded over, Grealish and Haaland, and I think that really translated also into the game for him. He was in a better mind space this season.
Do you know what? I reckon Foden would actually push him at the team if he was fitter for more of the season. Because those GNAs that you mentioned, Foden gets them. And he gets all the space creation, all the keeper, all of that as well. So I think it's just because Foden was injured for a lot of the season. I think that's why he got such a long run in the team. Not because I think not that he's bad, obviously, but it's just because Foden was injured.
Yeah, for sure. Foden's insane, man. Foden is crazy.
I also think that's one of the positions that Pep can constantly rotate. Like, you don't have to play both of them at the same time. You can always go like he's also 5 games on, 5 games off.
Yeah, he's also tweaked it like mid-season without really losing much, man. Like there was that short period where they struggled, but like usually you give like managers or something like a season to adapt, or like like when you bring in new players, you give them time to adapt. But like the time that it took for City to like they struggled in between. They had a very small rough patch, but as soon as they clicked, they just went up to like another level, which was crazy. Mm-hmm. But anyway,
just to add to that, City had so much depth. They had depth in all different positions. Okay, so if one person got out, the other person came in and just filled the spot. But this is the other greatness of when it comes to Pep Guardiola, ensuring that his players have that edge, have that hunger. So like whoever is down, they just come in and they just put their effort in that position. So it's like you got to win that shirt off me mentality, if that makes sense. Like if I'm stepping in and I'm performing well, you need to win your shirt back to get back. It's not like, oh, once Foden is fit, someone else comes back. He comes back to that position. So Pep Guardiola did a really good job at ensuring that hunger within the players and just that be ready mentality within the team.
Yeah, even after winning, man, to win every season and still be hungry and motivated
Absolutely.
to go again for it is crazy. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. But yeah, let's move on to Arsenal. Kunaal, you can take it away. Your thoughts on the season. Are you happy? Are you not happy?
Obviously, I'm not happy because we fucked up at the end. Well, not even the end. Like, I guess it was the tail run, from the Liverpool game onwards, because they were like, we were top of the league until then. But I think at a certain point in that Liverpool game, at halftime around then, we really lost something where we just couldn't get it back. I mean, we lost Saliba and we lost Tomiyasu in the game, in our Euro game. And I think that, like, we don't have the same depth as City, and we don't have the same depth with that hunger that Maranol was talking about with those players that come in and they just, like, they're there to fight. We don't necessarily have that. Like, Holding, he, like, plays to the crowd and all that stuff, but he's not the type of player that you can rely on to actually perform in those important games. And Liverpool, when we were up 2-0, we had a really, really bad stretch. It was Liverpool, I think it was West Ham that we went up 3-0, and then the game ended up being a draw after that. And then we had another game after that where we were down like 2-0. Southampton, like, and these are teams that we should be beating regardless of who's there. You can be
100%.
Like, it could be me in freaking center midfield, and we should still be winning those games. So there was a point where, like, that mentality that City has, and most teams don't possess that mentality, we didn't have it. And that's where we kind of just started failing. And then, you're also watching like City's games and just having them perform and then destroying teams after being down 8 points or so. A lot of things, like, this team mentally is very much youthful, even though we have the Jesuses, we have the Zinchenkos, like, we have that Odegaard, we have Xhaka. We're losing a couple of those, but even though we have those players with that mentality, it did not go through the entire team, and you could see like Saka was dead tired. He's played the most minutes in the league, so his performance started going down around that Liverpool game. It's just a lot of things amalgamated to having this team not perform the way they were at the start. It's a lot of negatives, obviously, with how we ended this season, but there are still like promising, because it's still such a young team. So there's a lot to look forward to for the next few seasons, especially if for the first time ever we actually perform and get the players that we want in the transfer window.
Correct.
Not getting a second, third option. Like if we get our primary options, like if we get a Rice, if we get a Caicedo, if we get we need a lot of players still to not just improve the depth, but to put some of the starting players into the bench and then have these like amazing players start day in, day out.
Kunal, so just to add to that, since you were on
though.
the topic of, can I just get a question in? So because you were on the topic of like your team being the youngest, do you think adding a few experienced players maybe in the transfer window could have helped that? Or
100%.
Yeah, because I know at the start of the season you had mentioned about Partey especially. You need to stabilize that central position for central position. I remember you had mentioned that, and I think outside looking in, and we talked about the players are too young; they don't have the enough experience. So at the start of the season, obviously Gabriel Jesus and Zinchenko really gave you that experience. But I think heading into that transfer window in January, and I know we kind of mentioned it, it was very important for, in my opinion, y'all pick up some really strong players in that window, especially if you were going into that. And I think a player like, for example, Moises Caicedo, I mean, I know he doesn't have the experience, but at least to fill in that Partey position and a few pieces of experienced pieces, polished pieces, and to go over the bank to just get over the line would have helped this younger team, which we had initially anticipated that they don't have that experience or mentality of being in a title race. Would that have helped?
I think it would have, but realistically, I think we had a solid transfer window. I wouldn't say it's like, yes, we should have done more because it was a title race and we know what City is. We should have made more transfers. But I also think you saw the naivety in Arteta in not leaving Trossard, who was playing incredibly. Trossard was playing really well. And when Jesus came off his injury, he was just plugged back into the team. I think that was a mistake. I think he should have. Yep. I think he should have done what Pep does and let those players earn their spots back, because I don't think Jesus was ready for that pace of the game. And again, he's incredible, but like we're talking about GA. Yes, it doesn't necessarily matter in the overarching part of the game, but he's the lead striker, and he hasn't had a GA in like far too long. He had one assist, one goal since he's come back. That's not good enough from your center forward position, even if he's playing a false nine. I think Jorginho, because I first of all, I was making fun of that Jorginho transfer. I didn't know the type of player he was. When he came back, when he came into the team, he played really, really well. Actually, it wasn't as bad as I thought. Yes, yeah. I think he was playing well, but then same thing. Partey got put back into the team. He wasn't performing, and Arteta waited too long to take him out of the team again. So it's a mix of a lot of things. Like, sure.
I mean, at the start of the season, if someone told you you'd finish second behind City, because it's easy to say in retrospect, oh yeah, we're in the title race and you should have signed this and signed that. But if someone told you at the start of the season you're going to finish second behind City, you guys would have been over the moon. You guys would have taken it without
but like
thinking.
You can't think that way. You have to think about how the season has gone on.
No, I'm talking about in terms of progress. No, I'm talking about in terms of progress.
There's definitely progress, but then we had a massive regression that scares me more than the progress we made.
Yeah, but you know what? This easily could have been at the start of the season. The falling off.
No, but like this is a lot of if and buts. You know, I'm talking about what actually happened.
Ahmed, both things can be true.
Right.
Yeah. Both things can be true at the same time.
Yes. If you told me at the start of the season you're gonna finish second and only like 8 or 10 points behind City, I'd be like, don't lie to me. Like you're fucking with me. You know. But again, as what we've seen, it's just
Before
Yeah.
anything.
It hurts a lot.
Once the season changes, once you're into the season, expectations have to
Exactly.
immediately change because standards and everything changes with that, and especially when you are on top of the table for 200 and say 60 days, for example. That's almost 80% of the period. So as a
but
fan,
a
your
long part of that
expectations.
was the World Cup.
But don't you think the
anyway,
expectations change with that? I believe, and I mean, I'm agreeing to a point where as the season goes on, you need to go from where you are at, and in terms of overall, yes, you've seen the progression, and it's really good to see the progression. Would you at some point, Kunal, though, question the manager? And the reason I asked that question is because last year, for example, you guys were in the top 4, right? Going for the Champions League. And he made some questionable decisions at that point. Now, again, this season, and to your point, as you said, they had a good system going with Martinelli, Nketiah, and Saka at a point, right? They were doing really well, and him making those mistakes. And the other moment that I think really kind of affected you guys was the Europa League game against Sporting Lisbon. I think he overthought it, and he didn't let the players play who were supposed to be playing in the game. I mean, what are your thoughts on that and that kind of decision making of Arteta?
I definitely
Just before you tackle that question, I just want to tag on
Mhm.
an extra point to Maranol's. I think one, if you're watching the United game, Kevin De Bruyne just got subbed on because Fred just did the
United
sexiest
game.
pass. Yeah. Fred just did the sexiest pass 2023. You need to go and look
Then
at
why
that
did De Bruyne
assist.
get subbed
It
on?
was insane because
because
only
he
De
has
Bruyne
Fred's
can
De
make
Bruyne.
those kinds of passes. Only De Bruyne can make those kinds of passes.
And Doucouré scored one amazing goal just now,
Look,
by the
Yeah,
way.
yeah,
Fred.
screamer.
Yes.
Unbelievable.
So we'll
They're
take
out of
all
the
those and
relegation zone, right?
Yeah, right now.
just
And
before we go off topic too
before
much.
everyone goes to town on Arsenal, I just want to say that they had a brilliant season. I've not seen such good football from Arsenal in a while, and I hate
Why do you
saying
feel
this.
we'll go to
No,
town
we
on
agree,
Arsenal?
we agree,
Why do you feel we're going to go
Man,
to
it's
town on
crazy.
Arsenal?
It's crazy when a
think-
Tottenham fan says
I
that
think-
about an Arsenal.
No,
Crazy.
but it is very hard for me to say it because I hated every bit of it. But I'm saying on a serious note, it was some great football. I kept seeing it. The fight, you guys had the fight that I had doubted, and I had shat on Arteta, I think last season, and surprisingly enough, I kind of agree to Maranol's point still of his decisions under pressure. I don't know. Maybe I might be wrong. I might be jumping again on him for no reason, but if it was a more experienced manager, would they have not bottled it, or would they have got the results to make the victory and get the title? I don't know, but
Yeah,
I don't want to say anything negative about Arsenal, but it's been a great season for Arsenal. I think you have a lot of positives to take ahead to the next season. And my only next worry is that with Champions League in, will you be able to perform in that same level? Because now, given Aston Villa's coming up, Brighton coming up, all the teams are so competitive. Newcastle coming up. You have
United.
a lot more teams to fight. United, Liverpool. I don't know about Chelsea, but everyone's coming up. Like everyone, so nothing's going to get easier for Arsenal. So was this the one chance that you had to get the title? That's my only concern here. Was it the one and only chance, or
It's
do you
not
still have
though.
hope that this team is going to
Kunal,
develop?
just before you answer, I want to just circle back to
This is
Maranol's
like
point.
ABC.
Yeah. It's
I hope
stand up,
Kunaal is
stand up.
taking
Sorry,
a
this is
I don't think
look,
Kunal's
yeah. My
going to develop
secretary's
Don't
on
worry.
it.
We'll, we'll bring it back. To be honest, I think Arsenal are a fantastic team. I think they have enough strength and depth. I think Arteta absolutely bottled it. I think we could all see Saka was tired. He should have subbed on Reece Nelson, let him play a lot more games. I get it, Saka's your best player. He bottled it. When Reece came on, he scored goals, he got assists. So for me, Arteta just didn't believe in the squad. He was a problem in the whole thing. I think on the left, he signed Trossard. He came in and he did bits as well. So to be honest, I think, if I'm very honest with you, I think Arteta bottled it and single-handedly Rob Holding lost you the Premier League. Let's not sugarcoat it. Let's not try and say anything. He was targeted by every single attacker that faced Arsenal, and he bottled it every single time. Every striker
okay,
He did a
dominated.
great
so,
job. He did a great job with his hair transplant, though. Brilliant. I loved it. His hair
It's a Lego
transplant
block.
was
It's
on
not a
point.
triangle. He just puts it on every
Oh, it's
morning. It's
brilliant.
fine.
He looks pretty decent.
Okay, so I agree. Arteta did bottle it, but I also, because he's such a young manager, to be in the position you were in, it's really hard to make the correct decisions every single time. So I completely agree. He did mess up. I think he should have, instead, because we know what Rob Holding is. He's like one of the oldest players, well, not oldest players in the squad, but like he's the most tenured player on this squad, or one of the 3 or 4. It's like Xhaka,
like Phil Jones, like Phil Jones.
right? So we all know what he is. He's not going to improve magically, right? I think he should have given Kiwi York, because he's a quicker player, and all we knew him for before he got his start was like half a game where he did not look good. But once he started playing like consistent minutes, he started looking a lot better. So I think I completely agree with you. I think Saka, and the problem with having a player as good as Saka is he is good defensively as well. So having, especially with a Ben White coming in to be like a more progressive right back, having a player who can, come back and, play defense as well as Saka can, he's so reliant on him, and I don't think he trusts Reece Nelson for the same thing. So there's all these decisions that happened during the season which completely were his fault they didn't make. But I don't know how many managers with the depth that our team has would have done something different, if that makes sense. Like you kind of want to trust your most valuable players in those positions, especially when you have injuries. Like if Tomiyasu didn't get injured, what would happen is Tomiyasu would be playing on the right, and then you'd put Ben White as the right center back. So like all these little things that happened during the season, which again, it's going to be.
But Ben White did a great job. He didn't do a bad job at all. Ben White.
No, I'm not saying anything bad about.
So I don't think Tomiyasu going.
I'm saying that he would have been able to go back into the right center back position, which Kivior is a left center back. So having someone with like the ability to pass with his right foot.
I get that. But I was saying like Tomiyasu was not your major miss, in my opinion, at all. Like I think Ben White did a fabulous job when he played.
No, he was, because of what Ben White would have been able to do in transferring into that center back position. That's what I mean. So 100% it's on him, because there are like Jorginho should have come in for Partey at a certain point. Trossard shouldn't have been dropped for Jesus. Reece Nelson, as you said, should have come in for Saka when he started getting really tired. And you can see it. Like you saw him. There was one game where he got knocked and like it looked like he was supposed to come off halftime. He stayed on and played the whole game. Like that's not great. That's not a great look on Arteta. But these are learning experiences. Like if you remember the game against United at Old Trafford, where Arteta just made like 3 subs in the middle of the game and it just completely destroyed our whole momentum. He didn't do that again for the rest of the season. So I think these certain like experiences, even though again it pains me with the way our season ended and crumbled, but I can see him learning from his mistakes. So I don't think that we're going to.
But he's done the second season in a row, though, Kunaal. That's
no,
my
but we
worry.
We had five. We had 5 injuries at that point of that season. Rob Holding was back into right side. Rob Holding was back at the center back. Partey was out, so we had El Neni in that position. There were a lot of injuries that happened that led to that clusterfuck of the end of the season last season as well. And we weren't that far ahead of Tottenham when it happened. So I don't blame him. We were up by 1 point, or 2 points, something like that.
What about the Forest game then? What about the Forest game? And the reason I asked that question is because you guys win that game. There might be a little bit more pressure going for City into the Brighton game. It's just about pushing them until the end of the season. Like my frustration was, for example, the Nottingham game, right? He tried to play Partey at right back, instead of just using. He tried to use Partey and Saka, right? On the right and left back. You have Tierney on the bench. Why?
If Tierney is out on his way out, if I'm being honest, I think they gave up after losing to City. I think the team kind of mentally gave up after losing to City, and he was just kind of trying things out now. Because at that point, he's like, I can see what my next season is going to be. Because after losing that game, that they were down. It was, I think we were up by 4 points, but they had a game in hand at that point, and we had a really tough set of fixtures after that. So I think at that point he's like, I'm just gonna see what I can do at this point. You know.
So would you put more on the blame on the players, or would you put it on Arteta? Who would you put it on for the collapse?
It's on everyone. It's on no one. Like it's kind of a mix of it all, right? Those players could have given more heart. The ones that came in, they dropped their heads really, really easily. Some of these, okay, they also dropped their brains a little bit because we have the two quickest goals in like this season, but like one that's close to the fastest goal in Premier League history against us this season. You can't do that. You can't start off the game.
The Bournemouth game, correct?
Yes, exactly. So you can't do that. So there's a lot of things. It's on everyone. There's not a single person you can put the blame on.
Yeah, I don't think it's as black and white as single-handedly putting it on Arteta, like SHEGZ puts it, because I think it's more on Edu and the board to kind of recognize the situation Arsenal reached come the Jan window, even if they didn't do it in the summer, to capitalize on that position. Because to be honest, for as long as Pep is in this league, how many chances are you really going to get to win this league? You never know where this chance is going to come again. Just look at how it went. They went from an 8-point lead to 8 points behind City. That's 16 points. And this is like come the end of the season. So that's what you're up against when you're up against a juggernaut like City and Pep. So
and even think about the investment from the other clubs now, because Arsenal don't like investing as much as, for example, let's say a Liverpool going into next season, which was a blip. You guys have invested heavily. I mean, Newcastle is investing. Brighton just looked like a well-oiled machine. And that's my concern, even looking at Arsenal for next season. Like, this was your chance.
No, I think Arsenal have invested more than they have previously, but it's still not enough. I think they have to invest significantly more, especially like when you're coming to the end of the season and then you have you're in a good position in Jan, and then your manager wants players like Caicedo, like Modric or whoever, like to kick on from there, and then he gets players like significantly lower, like a Jorginho, a Trossard, and coming back to the point where SHEGZ say it is like replacing Saka with like Reece Nelson, but I don't care what anyone tells me, Reece Nelson is nowhere close Saka. Like even if he's tired, so like you cannot expect the manager to put in Reece Nelson and expect to get results from what you're getting from Saka. And that goes back to the point of like bringing in the depth, the players, quality players to support that, especially when you're going into a season where you're playing Europa League. Last season, okay, you can put it on Arteta because he was playing one game a week and he just missed out on his top four. Okay, cool. This season, you know you're gonna go into Europe. You know you have to kick on an extra gear. You're traveling to all these European countries. Whatever. First of all, Europa is the worst tournament. Like that, it takes out. So look how many injuries. Like you guys, United and Arsenal, that came out of that season with Europa.
Yeah, but that's one of the side effects of being a top team. You want to be in all the competitions. Do you get what I mean?
I mean, not
but
Europa,
I think to a certain point that was a mistake, though. But I think that was a mistake. I mean, forget that. Even the domestic cups, I think Arsenal could have done good for Arsenal going a bit strong in all of these games. So that's why I'm questioning Arteta's inexperience, just on the fact that, you know what, he needs to be going to build a winning mentality. You need to win games. Doesn't matter what tournament you're playing. You need to be winning games.
But you also have to have the squad depth to support it.
Yeah, yes, but that's a part of the learning experience. That's a part of the experience. You're going to have those. You get what I mean? You're going to have injuries, but at the end of the day, if you need to win, like everybody needs to freaking
but
carry their weight in the team.
Maranol, you're going from a season where you're playing one game a week into a World Cup season where you're playing in an extra tournament and 3 games a week. You can't expect the manager to put out the strongest squad every single game. It just doesn't work, man. Like
that's what it is. That's what it is. You have to do that. Unfortunately, a lot of the teams have done that. A lot of the teams have done that.
Now when you're
backed up for depth, you can say that about Chelsea. You can say that about
United,
City.
Arsenal.
You can say that about Liverpool. But Arsenal added which players did they add? 2-3 players they added, and then come December, they're adding players of lesser quality. Sorry.
I absolutely get that, man. But what I'm saying is, in certain games, certain situations, it's very, very important at right games of the season. I get what you're saying. However, I'm questioning, for example, for me, the Europa League game, right? Sporting Lisbon. Going into the game, if I'm correct, it was 1-1 or 2-2 going into that game. You need to close out that game because, as I said, they're going into a very important period of their tournament.
I was actually upset though at that game because he went in with too strong of a squad, in my opinion, because the key players that needed to be there for the run got injured. So we lost.
But
Saliba
Saka wasn't playing that game. Saka didn't start that game. Saka wasn't playing that game.
I think the first leg wasn't a fully strong team, but the second leg was.
Yes. No. I'm telling you 100% because I was watching the United game at the same time. So I know that he didn't go for a strong. He went for a strong team in the first leg away and went for a weaker team in the second leg at home.
I think
your guys were played at home.
Should have won both games.
I'm sorry?
Like we should have won both games.
Guys, I feel like we've really focused on Arsenal. And I feel like we've done them to death.
No,
we know they bottled it. We know, they didn't quite cut it this time.
Yeah, but it's
better
unfair.
luck next year.
Yeah, but that's why I want to ask. The query is to who the blame falls in, and I guess what we've come is like the board has to take part of the blame.
And I'm not saying it's fully on the board. You have to blame Arteta.
Yeah. I think it's like a whole bunch of
the blame's on everyone.
Unfortunate, unexpected events kind of deal. Players, coach, and even the board. But I think definitely there's certain times in the season where it's really important having that experienced coach. And I think at the start of the season, I think Jithin also mentioned the same thing. It's just, will he get Arsenal to that next level? And we kind of question that part of it. Like he's improving the team, but it's just getting to that next.
In a way, he has brought Arsenal to the next level because if at the start of the season you're saying
but that's not
Arsenal
good enough. Arsene Wenger used to do that in top 4 for years.
No, one second.
Arsene Wenger would get Arsenal for I think 15 or 19. I'm not sure on the exact numbers, but he got them on the top 4. It's about the title.
Jithin, you're muted.
I understand, right? But you can't.
Jithin,
you can't say at the start of the season.
Sorry.
You can't say at the start of the season that Arsenal are not going to be anywhere close. It's okay. You're not going to be close to top 4. And then Arteta has a great season, gets them to second, gets them as the only team challenging City for the title, and say that he's not done well. Of course he's done well.
I never said he's not done well. I'm questioning, can he get him to the title? That's all I'm saying.
This is the next level, right?
I don't know if
this is the next
Can
level.
anyone get to the title with Pep around? Can anyone get to a title with Pep around? Honestly speaking. With where City
and also next level doesn't mean finishing 5th and then winning the title. That's not the next level.
But that's not what I'm questioning.
7 years Pep has been here, 2 teams have gotten the title, Liverpool and Chelsea.
Yes.
So it's possible. It's always possible.
It is.
But my question with Arsenal is, I personally don't think Arteta is the man going to take them to a Premier League title. Maybe a Europe. Maybe
that's
not.
Yeah, but you said he wasn't going to be the man to get them to top 4 earlier in the season.
No, the question was, can he get them to the next level?
No. We said Premier League title.
I'm talking about
title.
One at a time.
I'm talking about Maranol said, can he get them to the next level?
But I will tell you that he has changed and improved Arsenal drastically, 100%. And I will swallow some of my words that I said about Arteta for sure. I will say that I maybe jumped the gun a little bit too much. He has improved the team, but I still do not think he's the team that's going to take it to a Champions League or a Premier League.
I agree with that.
I remember
I can agree with that.
Last season where you're like, oh, how is Arteta going to improve on 5th? There's Newcastle's improving, Liverpool's there, Chelsea's there, United's there, Tottenham's there, City's there. So like these are 6 teams ahead of us. We should have realistically been 7th based off what you said last season. We came 2nd. So if he's able to improve from that level to here, then
that is
realistically this is his 3rd season. This is his 2nd and a half full season managing. If he's improved that much from when he started.
It takes
every single manager.
It takes a different caliber.
Somewhere lower.
It takes a different caliber to win a title. It takes a very different caliber to get a title.
Yes, 100%, Jithin, and that's what I'm saying, Kid White. Next level is Premier League title.
I do not think he has it.
Yeah, but now from this season onwards,
do you think Pep had it when he first started managing? Do you think freaking like?
Okay, wait, hold on one second.
How do you frame that? Just because his first job was such a big job.
He won his first title as soon as he started at Barcelona. But luckily he had Messi at that
It's a very different team.
One second.
Agreed. Go ahead. Sorry. Go ahead, Bert.
what base are we using to say that Arteta cannot win? You guys don't think Arteta will win them the league title? Is it because he's never won a league, or what is
No,
what
No,
are the reasons?
no.
Every manager
Okay.
will.
Okay, so
every
what
good
is the
manager
what is the
will be
reason?
able to win it. I'm
I
telling
see
you,
way too
I'm-
many.
Right.
Go ahead, Jithin.
Okay.
Yeah, go ahead first.
No,
I'll,
go ahead,
I'll
go ahead, go
tell-
ahead. Because I think.
Okay, so in my
add up to yours.
opinion,
Go ahead.
see, in my opinion, he makes too many mistakes when it comes to times when the onus is on the team. Like last year, when they were in the top 4, right? Easily, they should have been in the Champions League last year. He made too many mistakes, and Spurs overtook them at the end of the season. Okay, that's what I'm looking at and judging at those decision making. A few things here and there. Again, this year, right? If you're up for 260 some days, almost 75% of the season, right? It's very important for, if you're a manager, if you're in that position, to close it out. So last year's what I saw of him, this year what I saw of him, what it brings to me is that there's something not there. Like he's improved them, but you need somebody better to win a title. He's
All right,
improved them, but my next level is for them competing for a title. So that's where I question, is he the manager?
Can I push back on this for a second? Because both seasons we've had the same issue, and part of it is depth, where key players got injured at literally that last little run. Last season, we didn't have Partey. We didn't have a few, like 3 or 4 players that got major injuries. We lost Emile Smith-Rowe, who was actually a very important player in our
But
team.
can you get rid of the board? But
it's not getting rid of the board. They are starting to do things to improve your team, but we can't do what Chelsea does and spend 300, 400 million in one window. We can't do what.
But that's even more important than you have a manager
regardless
who's
of who
able to
comes
get
in.
you and
But
work
even
on
that doesn't work. Spending 300, 400
it doesn't work. But
we are struggling here. We are struggling here because of the one problem. That's a manager.
Yes.
Our main struggle is a manager.
But it's so
we
again, as I said,
So,
part of it was
again-
like if we had that depth, if we had the depth of City, we would not be running into the same issue. If we had that level of
Bro,
like
I-
actual good depth in the team. So you can't fully blame the manager for it. You can't fully say this guy
I'm not-
specifically
I'm
No, it's
bothered.
not fully. No, Kunaal, but it's not fully
again,
blaming him.
But it's the
No,
same
it's not.
situation. It's the same situation both seasons where we've lost key
Okay.
players.
So what's
if
what's
you
your
look at-
target next season?
Think about
What's your target next season?
okay. Target is doing decent in Champions League and competing for the title again, but doing better. That has to be.
Okay.
But that means winning the title. That means winning the title.
I've been winning the title.
No, if we lose by 1 or 2 points or whatever,
Still-
that's
no,
fine.
it's
City's still
irrespective,
incredible.
because
You can improve your
I
team
get it.
as much as you want. It's still gonna be hard to compete against City.
No,
That's
but,
my point. That's what I think.
Chelsea
I
and
don't think
Liverpool have
Arteta is
done
the
the same
manager.
thing, though.
But
I
who
get that.
is?
Yeah,
I
but no.
completely get that.
Who is
But the thing
the
is,
manager to take
but the
any
thing
of our
is-
teams into the next level?
Roberto De Zerbi. That is the manager. No.
Anyway,
I said that as a joke, but I actually mean that dead ass. I think if he was at Arsenal
Yeah.
or City, I think they would carry on winning. I think he could be
You
the one to
think if
take Arsenal to the next
Deserbi
level.
replaced Arteta right now, he'd win the league?
No way.
Is that what you're saying?
No.
Bro.
He wouldn't win the league
So-
necessarily, but he'd come
So we're
second at
talking
least
about
again.
winning the league right now.
No, but guys,
I think the
this
biggest
is
winning
no,
the
hold on,
progressing
is Pep
relevant.
Guardiola.
Kunal, hold on. This is a dumb conversation. We can't talk about winning the Premier League when you're competing against Pep and all his money and United
That's what I just
with their
said.
money.
point.
That's
And
what I just
Yeah,
said.
that's what I'm
I
trying to say.
know. I'm actually agreeing with you, which is why I just want to move it forward because you can't really. There's
Yeah,
nothing
fair,
you can
fair.
do
Okay,
to compete
let's-
with
Fair,
Pep.
fair.
Like there's just nothing.
That is
Yeah.
again.
Which
that
is why I think Arteta isn't the manager to win the title because he's up against Pep.
No one is, bro.
You
Like
can beat
you want
Pep.
Arsenal
You
to get
can
Klopp?
beat
Like
Pep.
what?
Don't tell me Pep is invincible. You can beat Pep. Anyone can beat Pep.
Yep.
I
Just
don't
that-
think so. I think
it's just-
Pep has to drop to beat Pep. I think if Pep plays at Pep's level, I don't think anyone touches Pep, Steve.
Even the
I
the
think-
year that Liverpool won the
man,
title, it wasn't like
it's-
they
it's-
ran City out of the league. They just won by a point or two.
No,
It wasn't
it's
like they
one-
completely
exactly.
ran
Yeah,
out of the
but
league.
that's what I'm
Exactly.
saying, and I don't
don't
think
have to-
Arsenal
But
have
that
a
is the
manager who
level-
can make.
But that is
Guys,
the level of
guys,
flawlessness you need to have.
Just look at the point tally of every Pep
Yeah.
team and tell me which manager comes in and achieves those points to beat Pep at full
Has to
flow.
be flawless.
Nobody touches him.
Has to be
Nobody
flawless.
He had one off.
touches
Yeah,
He had
I
one
know,
off season and he still got 80 points.
Burton,
My
Burton,
issue
though,
here,
it's
guys,
not about
guys,
Pep. Forget
we
about
don't-
Pep.
It
Forget
is
about
about
Pep.
Pep, though. It is
No,
Pep's
I know,
league.
but one
He
second.
walked into this
No,
league
but
and won
every
how many
team-
out of 6? This is Pep.
Burton,
Pep
that's why you
It is
have
about Pep.
Burton. That's why
Because-
you have a league that people need to compete. All I'm saying is for Arsenal to be competing against, for example, a Pep. Arteta is not the guy. He's not
But
the
he
guy.
just
That's all I'm
showed that
saying.
he was competing against Pep this season.
I don't think, yeah, but that
He was
was
the only
Next
one
level, the
competing
title,
against
the
Pep.
title,
He
the title,
He
the
was the
title.
only
the
one
guy-
competing against Pep this
But
season.
the title,
I know,
I
but the
believe that
biggest thing-
Arteta
that
is
way
not the
Ten Hag's
guy.
the guy.
title. That's the
I
biggest
think
thing.
Ten Hag will
Brentford
be the
just
guy.
scored against City.
I believe Ten Hag will be that guy
How?
for us. All right.
How?
What do you mean
How many points?
Yeah,
how
based
many
on what
points?
can you
how many
say?
Forget
Forget
the
away from
points
City are
this
you this
season, kid. Why?
Of
Let's
course,
talk
because
about
if
your
you're competing
season.
against Pep, one second. If you're competing against Pep, you need to get 90 points a season to win the league. You
Exactly.
need to get
So
90 points
did
a
we have
season
the
to
window?
win the
Did
league.
we have the
You're
window
telling
this
me-
year? We don't even have a striker.
second,
We
I'm just
don't
saying.
even have our
Correct,
first
correct.
choice
I'm
So
just
did
saying-
Arsenal
So
have
how
the
are,
window?
why are you talking
Did
about the
Arsenal
points
have
this
the window?
season? Exactly. So their
No,
freaking
in general. I'm
board
saying next
didn't
season.
make the changes
Next
that they
season.
Okay,
needed.
so but you're blaming Arteta, but you're not blaming Ten Hag.
I'm not blaming. What are you talking about blaming? I
No.
am just saying, in
He
my
cannot win the
opinion,
league, right? He cannot win the league.
yes, that's what
But
I'm
you're
saying.
saying Ten
That's
Hag
all
can
I'm
win the
saying.
league, and when I said that, you're saying he's not backed in the window. So isn't that the same thing? Arteta is not backed in the window.
Exactly, that's what I'm saying. But I am just saying I've seen so many mistakes from Arteta in the seasons he is there. I think he's good, but he's not good
But-
enough to win
But
the Premier
Maranol,
League.
you have a bigger sample size on Arteta than you'd have on Ten Hag. In one Ten Hag,
Absolutely.
yeah. So how can
Absolutely.
you say Ten Hag is going to win the league? How
I
can
am
you say
saying
that
I
based on
believe
one
that Ten
season?
Hag can win the league. I believe he can compete with Pep. But all I'm trying
I've
to say
seen
is
based
Ten Hag
on
make
what?
tons of mistakes
Based on what?
as well.
sorry.
I've
Based
seen
on
Ten
what?
Hag make mistakes as well. Like every manager makes mistakes. I'm not sure.
Yeah,
why
Kunal. And my
mistakes.
point is,
Like
my
I
point is,
told
last
you,
season he made the same mistakes, right?
No,
That's
but
what I'm
I
saying.
told you, he had injuries. Why aren't you taking these injuries into account? We had 6 major injuries at the end of last season that fucked up our entire
No,
season.
you
where
can
we
have
could
you
have
can have a
gotten-
fully
Listen.
fit squad as well. You can have a fully fit squad as well. All I'm saying is, even with a fully fit squad, can you year in year out get 90 points a season? You need to be flawless, pretty much
Not even,
flawless.
bro, you can
to
get 90 and
points a
still
season.
lose the league, man. When
Still
you're up
lose.
against
Yeah,
a
I'm
full
saying
full
minimum.
season.
Absolutely.
I'm
So,
saying
but that's
minimum.
my opinion on
minimum.
Arteta, and that's okay. That's okay. And
That's
I
okay.
think he's done a great job.
But then you have to use-
I think Jithin is all we're saying is I don't think he's the guy. That's it, and that's all right.
Yeah, and
he's
I don't think he's the guy.
3.5
either.
That's
seasons.
all. That's all
That's
I'm
got
saying.
more to do with Pep than to
And
do with
kudos
Arteta.
to him if he wins the title. I'm just saying I've seen, and that's I'm just thinking from a perspective of listen, I've seen the mistakes, right? With
He's
Ten Hag, for
3.5
me,
seasons
why I
into his
believe I've seen certain progressions where, and I know as an Arsenal fan, you see that. This is from an outsider looking into Arsenal. I'm like, hey, listen, last season I saw these mistakes, where they needed the bottle to like get it done. And yes, you're right about the injuries, but that's a part of football. Sometimes it's very important to have that coach who can, even through injuries, get something out of the guys. And
Yeah,
that was
but
one of the escape routes
we
for a
had-
guy like Ole, where when players were getting injured, we couldn't get the results, no matter who we
So-
put in.
We already had a very shallow squad last season. Everyone agreed with that, right? So having 3 or 4 injuries in your team in that last run makes a huge difference because you're talking about taking away a big part of you're talking about taking like 30% of your team away that got you to this point, to 4th or 3rd or whatever it was at that point. So you're talking about taking a huge, like, you can be the best manager in the world if you have that shit quality, but like it can be Pep. If he has guys that should be in like the 3rd division or something like that in those last final games, he's not going to win every single game. He's not going to get to that point.
Exactly.
Yes.
Exactly.
No,
My
but I'm
point.
saying
And
anyone.
I just think
So what's happening is we're progressing to the point where we can get to that level, but we need both him to improve as he has been showing, and we need the squad depth to improve, which is happening maybe not as fast as it should be because we should have spent that money in January, but that is still happening. They still did go out and get a Dressard. They weren't just like, oh, we're not going to get anyone. My biggest issue is they didn't get a striker in that time when we didn't have Jesus and when Eddie was like starting to not play very well. So there's a lot of things that they
listen, I agree with you. There is a lot of things. All I'm saying is that we don't need to go further with it. I just think Arteta is not that guy to get you the Premier League title, and that's fine. I mean, that's my opinion.
Of
And
course,
that's
you're
it.
entitled to your opinion.
So that's
guys,
what I'm
guys,
saying.
guys,
And
agree
if
with
it's
you.
okay,
I
Can we
agree.
it's
move
okay.
forward?
Yes.
Yeah, we
I'm
can.
tired of this Arsenal chat.
Absolutely.
Yeah, before.
But great season by Arsenal, by the way. Great season.
Mhm.
No jokes.
No,
Amazing
great.
season.
Listen,
Great football as
you
well.
had a great season based on your expectations to where you all reached. It's a good season. You saw a lot of strides in how you guys played. Even the development of the younger players. So it was good to see Martinelli. I think had a really good season. It was good to see he was more into himself, which was really good. And yeah, listen, y'all had a good season. Unfortunately, no trophies to show
It
for it,
was
memories. But listen, great season though.
it was fun until it wasn't. That was the season. That's how
Yeah,
I'll describe it.
and then speaking about trophies, let's speak about a team that's won a trophy.
Manchester
we-
City. We just been speaking about City for so long.
before you start on speaking on your team, I just want to say Harry Kane, 30 league goals in a dead
Yeah.
Spurs team. For me, this is the best
And shout
striker
out
I've
Brentford.
ever seen in this
I've,
league.
I've always said it.
Definitely.
I'd love to
Best
take him at
striker
United if they
in the
allow, if freaking Levy allows
Cross
him to come
feeds
to
and
United.
creates, good in the air, finishing crazy. This guy is just insane. And honestly, if he moves on to whichever league in the team, I think that's a difference between competing for the league and winning. The
Yep,
league.
yep,
Goals.
exactly.
Because
Goals.
if you replace Haaland with Kane in that City team, he has 50 league goals. I'm telling you right now.
Yeah, agreed.
That's insane.
No, I don't think he has 50 league goals, but he has a lot more assists than Haaland got.
Either way, I think this guy is like insane, man. He's a goal.
Yeah, he's
Yeah, but
And
Haaland
it's not
just
just
didn't get
goals, but
those
he's
numbers
creating
in
also.
a Spurs
perfect
team.
striker.
It's
Yeah.
insane. It's insane. But either way, yeah, Carabao, let's go. Show us some Carabao energy. Talk about it.
Carabao energy. Look, I'm going to say it once, I'll say it again. United have had a better season than Arsenal. Blood colour Arsenal, blood colour Arsenal. We have had a way better season. Yes, we might come third. Fingers crossed, touching all the woods because we're playing our game right now. But provided we keep this result, we've had a better season than Arsenal. We won the Carabao Cup. We're in the FA Cup final. We did well in, sorry. Why are you doing like this? You didn't win anything. You didn't win anything. But United had a great season.
Hard.
I think Ten Hag has shown us what a good coach looks like. He's shown us how you can take a real team forward because there was no way anybody would have believed that United would come third, let alone win. I know it's the Carabao Cup, I get it. But to still win that and to be in the FA Cup final and to do as well as we did in the Europa, look, you got to give some props where they're due. I think United have come a long way, and I think the best is yet to come. I think the good days are coming. I think the days of glory are coming. I think once we get
When
a
are you
real
going to
owner
compete for the title?
in,
When do you see
I give it another
United competing for the title?
I think another 2 seasons. I think we need at least another 4 transfer windows.
4 windows.
Yeah, I think we need like 4 transfer windows to get a bit more deadwood out to see who's going to step up.
Okay.
Like Fred, I think Fred could step up. I think he's got it in him somewhere. He can dig it out. I think Fred can step up. I think Mick Toms can probably back the dust. But I think so I think 2 seasons, 4 transfer windows, then we'll be able to compete.
Okay.
Or by compete, I mean just like I don't know, be like Liverpool.
Yeah.
2 more seasons?
Yeah, 2 more seasons. Yeah,
I don't know about
really.
that. See, I am a lot more impatient than that, and I think we need
No, but I'm being
the
realistic.
transfer window coming up, and possibly the January transfer window to be in a better position. I think it's very pivotal this transfer window because we clearly see deficiencies in the goal scoring category. So we definitely need a striker. We definitely need a center back, and we definitely need a ball carrying midfielder. And those are 3 main priorities to me going into this transfer window. If we get into that, I think we should be in a good position to be competing for the title. I don't think it's in 2 seasons, but I do think we can make a push towards City, towards getting the title. Because one of the biggest issues we had this year was actually just putting the ball in the back of the net. We created a lot of chances. It was just putting the ball in the back of the net was one of our biggest challenges. SHEGZ, you can continue.
No, I think that was pretty much it. United are the greatest. Give us 2 seasons.
So,
We're gonna win the Premier League.
If you had a
Best
better
player of the
season than
season as
Arsenal,
well.
shouldn't you be competing for the title next season?
Absolutely, and this is where I see. For me,
See, Uncle Kunaal. Uncle Kunaal, I'm talking to you. Uncle Kunaal,
Oh.
please. A season is not just the Premier League. I'll use my Nigerian accent for it. A season is not the Premier League. It is FA Cup. It is Carabao. It is Europa. It is Premier League. The season is the whole thing. We did better.
Wait, what was the
than
last
you.
one? What was the last one?
Bro, you got too used to Europa.
Europa.
You guys are in the Champions League now.
No, you said
You're in
Premier
the
League.
Champions League now. Europa is done.
Yeah,
That was
yeah.
a
Oh,
few years before.
come on.
How many
come
points?
on.
How
I
many
like that.
points did
I
we
like
end
that.
up?
Start getting
How many
used to it.
points did we end up behind Arsenal this season?
9.
Is it 9?
9.
Okay. Well, but this is what I'm saying. Like in one of your look, I'm of a different opinion than SHEGZ in terms of I think Arsenal had a better season just based on expectations, but I think we had a more successful season. You know, I think we had a more successful season as an overall because even our expectations to start from my expectations to start of season was, you know what, I'll be happy with top 5, you know, being in the top 5, at least getting the top 4 and maybe winning a trophy. Guess what?
Okay.
We're third this season, right? Plus, we've won a trophy, the Carabao Cup. We competed, all right? We started from a really bad position at the start of the season to where we have come. We've like developed
So
as a
basically,
team
you're
to this
saying
position.
he hasn't exceeded your expectations.
No, he's definitely exceeded
Because
my expectations because
no,
I
because
said
you said you want
we
no,
would
you said
end
you
up
want
fifth.
top 5. No, you said you want
Yep.
top
No,
5
he did
and a
exceed.
trophy.
Yeah, he exceeded
No,
it, right?
that's top 5 and a trophy. That's what you got. Top 5 and a trophy.
Yeah, we again third. I said we would end up fifth. What I meant
No,
was
top
we would
5
end up
and
fifth.
ending up here are two different things.
What do you mean?
Okay, these
Yeah,
are semantics.
Fifth.
These are semantics.
I said
So
fifth.
we know exactly what
I
he
said we would end up fifth. I
Okay.
said we would end up fifth, basically.
Okay. Okay.
But what he did was fine. Yeah, because of who we had in defense, what players we had, you know, we were just getting Lisandro in, how we started the start of the season. I just didn't see us going, hitting that top 4 or getting Champions League. We did. We end up number 3, which is good. And we get a trophy, which is good. And we're competing also. We are in the FA Cup final, which is good to see. I mean, we had a lot of unfortunate injuries. We didn't finish off the Sevilla game, or maybe we could have been in the finals for that game. I mean, it was that first leg. We dominated that leg. All of a sudden, as soon as Varane and Martinez get injured in that game, they score 2 goals, own goal from Maguire, go into the second leg, and we lose. You know, it just was one of those games. So I've seen a lot of growth from the team. I'm happy to see that. And at the same time, I think I see a lot more progression that I think we can push City. I mean, listen, I'm agreeing that City is a whole different stratosphere, 100%. You know, they're in a league of their own. But as a fan, like what I will always wish to do is like believe in my team, just like you, Kunaal, will believe in your team. You know what I mean?
That's normal.
I do
Yeah, of
believe.
course.
I do believe that we have the right coach. I do believe in Ten Hag, his philosophy.
Yeah, I
of
agree
what
too.
He's in the team, so that's what I believe, and I think we have had a successful season as of now. Yep.
Yeah,
I think you had a
I'd
phenomenal
agree.
season. I think you're 100%. You're lacking players in attack. Getting a
Sorry, Kunaal,
Weghorst in.
please say that again. We had a what season?
Oh, sorry, I'm lagging out. What? Ask that
No,
question.
please
Don't ask the
repeat what
question.
you said.
Let me continue. Wait, please.
We had a what season?
I think you had a phenomenal
It
season.
was phenomenal.
Mute yourself, please. Just let me talk. I think you had a phenomenal season. I think your defense was really good until you lost Varane and Martinez. And I thought he'd have a tough time in the Prem, and he didn't. He did a really
And
good.
even the drama, Kunaal, just to add to that, the Cristiano Ronaldo saga from the start of the season, that there was so much stuff going on also in, like, you know, during the start of the season.
Damn,
where,
was that this season?
yes.
It's been a very. This was
Oh,
the
wow.
same season with the handshake. You know
Yep.
This was the same season
Wow.
still.
Correct.
It's been a while. No one has their job anymore.
Yeah.
But like I was saying, you had a great season. Rashford showed that he can do a lot, even with like a very minimalistic offense. Him, Fernandez, like you had a lot of really good. You had a really good.
Minimalistic offense.
Explain your offense.
I mean, you explained it. You called it minimalistic.
It is
You
very.
need to use big words to explain that.
I mean, it's a long word. It's not a big word.
The irony.
I just don't understand how you can call an attack like ours minimalistic.
I think lack
Bro,
of
the
goals is
only
what
thing
he
we
means.
Lack
But
of
either
goals
way,
is what he
Now
meant, which I
Weghorst in
agree
that
with.
attack.
We had a lack of
Yeah.
goals. We created chances
I
with
mean-
lack of goals.
yeah.
Yeah.
Okay,
You
okay.
have your striker cannot score.
But he scored
we had
30
freaking
goals a
Weghorst.
season.
Weghorst.
Who? Weghorst.
No, I know, and that's what I'm
Oh,
saying. Like we didn't score anything. You know, we had at the top of
You had
our
your-
list, and that's why
Ke
it's
mera
so important
Bobo.
we get a striker.
Nah, Bobo.
Anyway,
wait.
okay. So I will say, as you were talking about you having a better season than us, if you win the FA Cup, I will say you had a better season than us. But Carabao, no, that doesn't count to me. You already know my opinion on cups, and everything below FA Cup doesn't mean anything to me. I know you guys haven't won a cup in like decades, but like, you know, that's
It's
we
not
won the
you
FA
guys
Cup.
throwing
What
shade.
do you
I didn't
judge?
go in
What
on
do
you
you
guys.
judge success on? What do you judge success on?
I
What
think
do you
both
judge
of our teams
success
had.
on?
I think both of our teams had the same expectation this season in terms of where
Okay.
people thought we would land. No one really put either of us in the top four. Like no one put United and Arsenal in the top four. But we,
Okay.
again, as poorly as our season ended, we were still challenging for a title for the bulk of the season. I
Okay.
never thought we were going to win. Like I've not once said that Arsenal winning the title, not once, because I know what City is. But I think we had a better season to this point. Even because you were in the title race technically, you were 3 points behind us with a game in
Yeah.
hand, something like that.
Absolutely.
In
Yeah.
February, right? And then I heard a lot of United fans saying that we're in a title race, we're going to win that, blah blah.
Yeah, but
Yeah, that was
that
like
was
one
that
big
was as I said, we don't
Yeah.
have the depth, and I shut that
But
down on my side.
neither
It's
do
like
we.
that's
This
not
is
there.
kind
Yep.
of like where we're landing is we're in a very similar position. Ten Hag has done a really, really good job, especially with the players he has. I think y'all spent too much money on specific players, and you should have added better depth.
Yeah,
instead
Kunaal, but
of-
what I'm asking, what do you judge success on then? What do you play? What do you compete for? What do teams
I think-
compete for?
Sure, fair enough. I get your point. Trophies, yes,
Mhm.
I know. But
Yeah.
again, some of these Tin Cup trophies don't count to me. They just
But
don't.
it is a
Carabao
trophy at
does
the
not-
end of the season.
but it
It's just a
doesn't
trophy.
count.
I'm just saying,
Carabao
if
doesn't
you
count.
haven't won, see,
Leicester relegated, Everton stay on the Premier League.
wow, congrats to
Damn.
Everton. This guy did a very
It's
good job.
surprising, yeah.
Sean Dyche. Sean Dyche did a very, very good job with Everton. And back to why I'm asking.
He did the same thing Lampard did last
You
season.
know when you know what, when people say, for example, Arteta has not won a trophy. Technically, he has won a trophy. What trophy
No,
would
he
you guys
has
win?
won a trophy. Not
Yeah,
technically.
what has he won? What has he won?
FA Cup.
Yeah, he
Okay,
has.
which is
in his
good.
first
Yeah,
season.
that's what I'm saying.
Yeah,
So
that's
he
what
has
I'm
won
saying.
a trophy.
If you win the FA Cup, I'll say you had a better season than us. If you don't, then you had a worse season than us.
But my
But
thing
I
is,
don't-
it's still
no,
a trophy.
No, a cup isn't a cup, bro. Bro, I can show you.
Why do you play
cup.
competition then? Why do you play a competition then?
There's levels. You're like Carabao is not the same level as winning a Champions League. That's what I'm saying.
Okay,
It's like
fine.
I'd say
Fine.
the extra place.
Y'all
I'd
haven't
say
won any trophy. So what level is that? I mean,
we won
that
FA
would
Cup. But
say that
anyway,
I have some level.
I'd say that having that 9 points higher than you and being second is
It's
worth
a
more
trophy.
than a
So the
Carabao Cup.
memories are a trophy now.
It's worth more than a Carabao Cup.
Okay, so the memories are a trophy
I'd
now.
say second is worth more than a Carabao Cup. But you again, this is very subjective. But
Okay, and that's
in
why
my
I'm trying to
opinion,
make it objective. That's why you play competition.
there's no
is to win
objectivity in
trophies.
subjective matter.
But
No,
don't
but
leave,
it's-
don't leave.
I'm
Don't
trying.
close the
I'm
World
trying to
Cup.
make it objective in the sense that every competition that you're in, you play, you compete to win it. Premier League title, FA Cup. All right. It is a domestic trophy, right? Charity Shield. All right. FIFA Club World Cup. These
Sure,
are
when you're-
trophies.
when you're
There's a
standing-
reason.
when you're-
There's a reason people call Spurs a club with no trophies because they haven't won even a Carabao
we
Cup.
already won a trophy.
But that's
under
a trophy.
Arteta.
That's what you judge. That's what you judge Spurs on, don't you?
But we are
That they
yeah,
haven't
but they
had a
actually
trophy.
haven't won in a long time. We've won a trophy in like the
We
last.
haven't
3
won
years.
in a long time either. We haven't
So
won
that's
one
why it
in a
means
long
a
time.
lot.
Well,
Don't
in a
talk
long
about
time, I meant a couple
That's
of
why
years
it
when
means
we
a lot
won.
more to you. That's why this Carabao Cup. That's why this Tin Pot Cup means a lot more to you. You know what I'm saying?
Okay. All right. Well, I'm just saying.
That's
you-
my
Alright,
opinion. If we didn't win the FA Cup, I'd understand. But when
We
you're
can
standing on a
agree to
podium, when you
disagree.
have
It's
a
fine.
gold, silver, and bronze, that second place is a silver. You wouldn't say silver and bronze are the same, would you? Even if you add.
Okay,
like,
cool. Everyone has their own opinion on success, and I hope everyone's successful in life. Now
Let's
we
talk
can,
about Chelsea.
Yeah, sure.
Wait. One last thing. No. You Chelsea boys. No, you're not getting away with this. What do you think of the season for United. I'm just saying, like, okay.
Yeah, I was going to speak. You guys wanted to move on to Chelsea, so you guys,
fine.
okay.
Okay.
So
I think.
Go ahead. Go ahead.
Okay, I think United have had a great season. I saw some great football as well there. At the same time, I saw some bad football as well, like the Sevilla game, for example, and few other games I don't remember. But good football. Ten Hag, yeah. Seven, yes. I get few games, but overall, great performance. I think United have exceeded my expectations this season. Third place is great achievement given Arsenal and City's form. Carabao Cup nonetheless, whatever it is, even if it's worth 1 million or 100 million worth a cup, it's a trophy in your cabinet. So my views on trophies are different to Kunaal. Great success. If you win the FA Cup, that's how the Premier League flew away from you, bro. Don't worry. If you win the FA Cup, a brilliant season. No joke. Trust me, great season. And I think you have to be competing for the Champions League and the Premier League next season.
Correct.
You'll
100%.
have to be competing for all the trophies. 100%.
Yep, 100%. 100%. That's a standard.
Look,
you have to have that standard.
every-
That's my take
Top
on
level
United
clubs, you have
this
to have
season.
a standard.
And
FD,
Casemiro,
just the
my
top
best,
four.
my best player, best signing of the season for you guys. Casemiro played a brilliant. Since he's
And
all the games that
Lisandro
he's been
before he was
in the
injured.
11, he's brilliant. He's been great. I think Casemiro
And
is
Lisandro
brilliant.
Martinez
And
before he got injured, man.
yeah,
I think
definitely,
both
yes,
of them
yes,
have
yes,
been
yes.
really great. They've been colossal for
Great,
us
great.
as
So
a team.
I feel
Yep.
bad for
Nothing-
Casemiro because
no-
some of those Reds were just not Reds.
Yeah. No ill feeling towards United, but they had a great season. I have nothing to say bad. Other than
Ahmed,
the
go
big
ahead.
games.
Wayne, no,
Burton?
go in.
Okay. Yeah, no, I agree. I think he's had a very, very, very good season. Because the job was really tough, especially when he came in and everything was all over the place. He had to first stabilize the team, get
Maguire
the
fighting Ronaldo.
get the players on board and make some big decisions like sending Ronaldo away. And
First three
also-
losses in the start of the season too.
Yeah, couple losses to start with, and then the signings I thought were pretty spot on that he made. Besides the
Weghorst.
what's his name? Yeah, the Bobo.
Weghorst.
But
yeah.
I mean, you can't put that too much down to Ten Hag because he he wanted better signings, so I think that goes to the board. But he got majority of his signings spot on, especially Martinez. I think that was key for you guys because the center back was a big issue for you guys with like Maguire and stuff. It just wasn't happening. He stabilized the team. The team wasn't conceding many goals, which is similar to what like Tuchel did when he first came in. Like he first made sure the back line was good before moving into focusing on the midfield and attack. And of course, getting in Casemiro, that was the big one. I think he's really. You could question some places of like let's say like his substitutions. I think in some games
His naivety to the league, basically.
Yeah, and were a little questionable, but that of course you can judge when he has proper signings in because once again you don't have the depth in those similar like I said with Arsenal, you don't have the depth in certain positions. But all in all, I think he's done a very good job. And I think his man management is very, very good. Because the fact that he came in and you had a 70 million right winger and he went out and spent another 90 million to get a right winger, I think that says a lot about the squad, the mentality that he saw in the team, and it just wasn't good enough for him. So don't look at me, SHEGZ. You know your boy's not up to par.
Was Sancho the first 70 million?
Yeah, did he perform? Where was Sancho this season? Where was he last season?
We can check their goals and assists. I'm pretty sure he's equal to Anthony.
We just spoke about GA, my friend. You can have GA and still not have a good season. You know that. And he doesn't even have GA to support it. Let's be real.
So you can have GAs and have a bad season.
Call him a flop.
Sorry?
They had very similar.
How can you have GAs and have a bad season?
You can have 2 goals.
You can have a good game and not have GA, or you can have GA and not have a good game. Both things can be true.
Okay.
Bruno,
but which would
like
you prefer?
Bruno.
Sorry?
Which do you prefer?
I prefer the whole team plays well, and I don't care who gets the GA. I prefer that the team plays well as a unit and wins the game, And who picks up the assist, who picks up the goal, I could care less. But the team has.
I mean, I have to agree
and
with
the team
Bert.
has-
Sancho has not been that great.
Like, he
Sancho has
hasn't
not
been up
been
to
that
I'll
par.
great.
agree with you.
Cannot back
Actually, I'll
this guy.
agree with you
Yeah.
guys too. Chelsea
I have
fans.
to,
I'll
yeah.
agree. I'll
Because
agree
let's
with
be
you
real, if
because
he
there's a
was
lot
good
of
enough when Ten Hag came in, Ten Hag is not spending that 90 million at the Glazers. First of all, you have to go through hoops to get that approved. He's not going to go and spend it on a right winger when he has a right winger. He's not going to promote 18-year-old Garnacho to take Sancho's side.
He's not going to send Sancho
And
to like
outperform Sancho.
the
There has
monks
be
to
something that
meditate.
he's
You know, he's
seeing
not going
there.
to do that.
There has to be something that he's seeing there. Look at the mentality of Garnacho and Martinez and
Let's
Casemiro
take
and the
it
guys he's
one at a
breaking in.
time. One
right?
at a time. There
Yeah.
was a lot of wild statements which just said. So let's
Okay,
take it
go
one
ahead.
at a
Which
time.
one do you disagree?
First one, Sancho plays on the left. Okay, so he didn't.
He was brought in as
Anthony
a
wasn't
right.
there to take.
He was bought to be a right wing.
Oh,
Let's be real.
hold on, Uncle, hold on.
Go ahead.
So
Go ahead.
let's Sancho plays on the left. He plays there for England. He plays there for us. He,
Sure.
to be honest, right? It's because we didn't have a right winger. We needed Anthony. We did not have one. Period. There was no right winger in our club. So that's why he signed Anthony. So let's not mix those two things together. And I know he sent, and next one with Kunaal, I know he sent him to the monks to go and meditate. Look, sometimes we only take care of our mental health. You know, he knew what he needed. He went, he came back stronger. In fact, he got a goal today.
Did he come back stronger?
Phew.
Did he come back stronger? I don't think he came back stronger. Where are his performances
think-
show that he came back stronger? Where are his performances?
Easy. It's like he was like Grealish. The same way you said Grealish was great, right? I mean, he played well
Seriously?
in games. He just didn't have games not as good as Grealish. Hold on.
Stop it.
He
No,
wasn't quite
Ten
as
Hag
good
just
as
took away
Grealish.
his PlayStation
Stop it,
time, bro.
Hold on.
Stop disrespecting Grealish's performance.
Guys, hold on. What I am saying is that Sancho has played well in many games where he didn't get a goal or an assist. I fully agree with everything
Many
you're saying.
games? I don't think so. I think a few
He-
games.
he-
I think you
he
could
played.
count on one hand and still have a thumb left.
Yeah, I'm not sure. I'm not sure
wow.
about that. I think that's a wrong statement.
Okay,
But-
name
so
me the games. Off my head, I can think Liverpool and I can think.
Today's game he played well.
Today.
Look.
No,
Okay,
Anyway,
let's call
anyway.
it today. Which other games do you remember off the top of your head?
Let's not focus on Sancho because he's not
Oh,
Manchester
now we don't
United.
focus on Sancho. Okay, let's.
No.
move to the-
You made two statements about Sancho that I needed to correct. You said he played on the right. He does not. He plays on
He
the
was
left.
brought in as a right winger. Yes or no?
No.
Yes or no?
Where'd you get that from? Where'd you find that one? You just
Okay.
plucked that out the air.
Okay,
Where'd you
prior
get that
to-
statement from?
Oh my gosh! Prior to Sancho coming in, was Rashford your left winger?
He's always been the
swapped
left winger.
between
Hold
him,
on, hold on.
Martial.
Prior to
like-
Sancho being signed, was Rashford your left winger?
Okay, yes.
Were you planning to replace Rashford with Sancho?
We wanted to play Rashford up front. I said we don't want
You
to go
had
down into this-
Martial up front. What are you talking about, bro? You were playing
Martial is
Martial up
injured half
front
the
and
season.
Rashford left wing.
Ya Habibi.
Bro,
Martial
I'm
is
talking
injured
about this season.
75% of this.
Oh
Yes,
my
every
God.
season Martial is injured for 75% of the season. That's what I'm trying to tell you.
Burton, you're right. Hey, listen, I'll be honest with you. You're right, okay? Because the season prior to that, we didn't have anybody on freaking. We had Facundo Pelestri.
You
we had
needed a right
freaking
winger.
Ahmed.
why you
Yes,
brought him.
and we did. But this is the problem when the board just wanted somebody who was like a marketing spectacle rather than fitting in the system of the team. Okay. And unfortunately, the money and everything really impacted like the hype that we have with Sancho. With the expectations that were there, he didn't live up to the expectation. I agree with you 100%. I mean, to be in that team, average is not good enough, you know? And he has been average. And some games below average. His work rate, okay? His willingness to take on defenders, which from what I see with what Ten Hag wants, like he's a power and pace kind of style that I look at the team that he wants to build similar to that of Liverpool. And that's why we play a lot on transitional football. You know, it's like quick counterattacks. That's what he wants to build. Sancho is not that player. I don't think he will ever be that player. And I'll be honest, Sancho is more of a City style possession player with wingers overlapping and things like that. In all, he's not lived up to his expectations. So I agree with you. He hasn't lived up. As a United fan, how I judge my players is, am I going to get a 7 out of 10 performance every game? All right. With Sancho, I do not know. And that's not good enough to be in a world-class team or a team that is competing for the title. Am I going to get a 7 out of 10? You know? And it's not there because I judge him on, for example, in the sense of when we used to play with wingers like Giggsy, all right, or Anani or a Ronaldo. You know that you were getting something out of them, right? With Sancho, I don't know, and that's not good enough. So based on that, I don't think he's lived up to his expectations in his 2 seasons here. Because I wanted to wait till the end of the season. It's been too inconsistent for me from that position, and I don't think that's good enough for us. He'll be a good player coming off the bench, maybe, but for the amount of money you're paying a player like that, that's not good enough.
I think the number one trait for any winger has to be able to beat your man 1v1. That's the top trait for any winger. And
Yeah.
I think Sancho cannot do that. And he showed that he holds on to the ball, kind of like, lays it on to whether it's an overlap or like through the middle to Bruno or someone like that, and expects them to carry on from there. He doesn't look to beat his man, take on the man, and then have the pace to carry on and either shoot or like put in that threatening final pass. That's why I don't know if it's a mentality thing or I don't know if it's like an ability, because he's shown that ability in Dortmund. But let's be real, that we all know how that league goes. We've seen multiple players come from there and not be able to do it in the Premier League. But
Burton also I think it's modern football has gone away from his style of, he's almost like a hybrid number 10. Like he's like a James Rodriguez, you don't have that number 10 position anymore. He's not that kind of winger. He's not a modern winger. And that's why he doesn't fit the system or the mold of how we're playing. As you said, the modern winger, you need pace, you need to beat your defender. And you play more direct, correct? And that's what Garnacho has. That's what Rashford has. That's why they start over Sancho, because Sancho doesn't do that. And Ten Hag has given him opportunities. Like, I honestly wouldn't be surprised if in the next transfer window, maybe we look to cash in on Sancho. I'm just saying. Or Sancho might need to come off the bench. It's just something I'm looking at based on the style we're playing and to the points, as you're saying, of modern football.
I think no, yeah. My eyebrows are furrowed.
Your
Because
head
we're
is
using
hot,
a
bro.
lot of big words
I
again.
can see smoke.
Yeah.
No, we are, because you're talking about modern football, but we said City is the best team. In the same sentence, you said Sancho would be great for a City team, but you said he's not good for modern football. So I'm trying to understand the
if
correlation.
you see a lot of modern football, there's a lot of pace, there's a lot of power in the Premier League. You don't have in the modern football, the way the game has evolved, there's a lot of wingers playing strikers almost. It's like a mixed category where before it was more of technical ballers controlling the ball in the midfield, distributing. That's Sancho's style, but now if you see the game, it's a lot more quicker, more over the top, more. And City is good. I mean, yes, the system, and that's why. But what about the fact that I said that he would fit perfectly in a City system? What about that?
Okay, so what you're saying is that City's wingers are not modern wingers.
It's a different style. Yes, it's a different style of system of how they play. I'm saying modern football is a lot of power and pace. Would you agree on that?
No, not necessarily. I think modern football is whatever the coach decides. Like you look at, for example, with City, those wingers don't
modern
really
wingers. So modern wingers now. What is a typical winger this year? What is a typical winger?
I'm with you. I'm with you.
The modern football.
Yeah,
what is
come.
it?
We can go there. We can go there.
Yeah,
it
but
depends, like you said.
That's what my point is. That's what my point is for a modern winger. The modern winger has to have pace, has to have power.
Okay,
right
this is where I think wrong. I'll tell you. That's what I said. That's not true. I don't know.
How is that wrong? Modern winger needs pace and power.
Okay, let him explain.
Okay, fine.
Shway, Habibi. Shway.
Okay.
Grealish. Okay. He doesn't have the pace and all that jazz you were talking about.
Absolutely. Neither does Foden. Neither does Riyad Mahrez.
But these are modern wingers.
That's not a modern winger. I don't believe that's a modern winger. That's a Pep Guardiola system. That's the system of how they play.
Okay. No problem.
Why do you think he got rid of Leroy Sané?
I now understand.
Like an hour and a half.
Yeah, exactly. I understand. It's okay. We can move on.
Okay.
Why did he get rid of Leroy Sané, who's one of your paciest winger over there?
Don't worry. I agree with you. Let's move on.
Okay, hold on. What was I going to say? I forgot. Okay.
You were saying on Sancho.
Yeah. Okay, so we made our cases on Sancho. So all in all, good season, Ten Hag. Next season, you guys expect to compete, you said, in all comps and push for the league.
Right? I expect to compete for the Premier League title. I mean, I know SHEGZ had mentioned that he's waiting 2 seasons to push for the Premier League title. But I
Okay.
expect us to be competing this year. Yep.
Okay, cool. On to Chelsea. Start. You Chelsea
Kid, why
guys
do you have
no,
anything to say about
United guys
United?
want to start. Everyone wants to cook. Who?
No,
What
no,
do you
no,
guys?
no, no. We don't want to cook Chelsea. Kid White wanted to talk about United. He didn't get the opportunity to.
Okay, make it quick. Chop. Come on. Let's
Yeah,
go.
yeah, yeah.
City.
No. It's a great
United.
season. Ten Hag's done well. Yeah, no, he's done well. Great season. And of course, I agree with Jithin and Maranol. A trophy is a trophy. Doesn't matter. I said that before when we won it. A trophy is a trophy. Doesn't matter what it is. +1.
Okay, excellent. Well done, United. Okay.
Final one. Can we take a vote? Kid White, did United have a better season than Arsenal? Just yes or no. Don't comment. Just yes or no.
I would rather be United. Yeah.
Thank you. Heard it once. Jacob, tell us.
100%. You won a
Okay,
trophy.
okay.
For me, that matters. It doesn't
100%.
matter. Second place
Maranol.
doesn't matter to me.
Maranol.
No. Come on. I said that we had a more successful season. I
just-
believe so. Yeah.
I'm just
I
checking.
wouldn't say more
Bert?
successful or whatever. I just say I'd rather be in United's position. Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
exactly. Let's put it
This
that way.
season.
Bert?
This
Bert?
season.
Yeah, fair. Trophy and top four is same as top four. So I mean.
Yeah.
Yep.
Kunal?
Trophy.
Oh, okay.
Kunal?
Sorry, I have high standards.
Okay.
All right, go ahead. Let's get Chelsea. Let's get to
Yeah.
Chelsea.
Starting this cooking.
Jithin,
let me start.
Wait, I don't want to
Barbecue
start
already.
cooking. Let Jithin
I have to
Jithin
leave.
start
I
because
have to leave.
he's on the way. So let Jithin start.
Yeah, Jithin, come on, give us a.
The most pathetic season I've seen in my life ever since I started supporting Chelsea. Most disgusting. And
I'm ready for this cooking. I brought my fork and knife.
I am going to be
Let's
the
eat.
first one to cook Chelsea, let alone you guys. Wait, I need to wait for SHEGZ. I cannot do it without SHEGZ.
Where did Shaq go?
Where the hell did this guy go?
Oh, he's listening. No, he's gone.
Is he? Oh,
Yeah,
he's
you
on
just
the
keep
call?
going. Keep going.
Okay, yeah, just go ahead.
Okay, no, we have one of the most terrible seasons. And I told you when we got Graham Potter, he's not the guy. That was just a hasty manager decision, 100%. Whatever you guys say, it's one of the worst decisions getting on Graham Potter. Sacking Tuchel was another bad decision, but I don't blame that because they were having a big rift, so it doesn't make sense keeping a manager there if the owner doesn't like him. So I completely agree, but I would love to have Tuchel there. Love to have had him there, got some structure into the club because he could have done wonders with the money that we eventually ended up spending. The most important thing, I saw no fight from any of our players. And only Silva. And the past few games, he's not been performing great, but I don't blame him. He's 37, end of the season, nothing to play if I get it. But still, he was better than all our other players, which says a lot for a 37-year-old to be our best player and the player of the season. In a team where we signed buttload of idiots.
And I think Enzo was also good, by the way.
claimed to
Just
be
to
great
add on,
players,
I know
but
he
were
came
just
middle of the
pathetic on
season.
the
I think he
field.
was good.
Graham Potter, terrible. I'll say it again. I want to say it 5 more times. He's been terrible. Lampard was just a signing to calm the fans down. I don't
Well,
think
he calmed the
anyone else would have
losses for
taken-
sure.
And funnily enough, the fans took it in a better way than they would have taken it if it was Graham Potter. I feel you didn't see a lot of, even though we never expected anything different from Lampard, other than our standards to drop more. You know what I mean? Because obviously Graham Potter is a better.
Yeah,
manager
which
than
was my
And
problem
I feel bad for Graham Potter having left Brighton.
in the first.
Having left Brighton when he was doing so well, coming to Chelsea. I don't know what vision, what dream he saw, but it literally backfired. And for me, the most important thing was this: there was no tactics, there was no strategy, there was no plan A. There was nothing. There was no structure. The way we spent, to a certain extent, didn't make sense. A lot of the players we signed, some did, some could make sense in the longer run in the future. For Pochettino to come, maybe he could help the youngsters. But there's a lot of clearing to do. We have to
Are you happy with
do a
Poch? Are you
clearance
happy with
sale,
Poch, by the
massive
way?
sale. That's.
Are you happy with Poch?
Am I happy with Poch? I don't know. I'm on the fence. I'm not sure.
I thought you'd be happy. I
But
mean, it's the
I
Spurs
really don't
connection.
know. There is a Spurs connection. I get it, but it's not Conte. You know what I mean? No, but jokes
Oh,
aside,
wow,
I don't know
okay.
what honestly, I don't know how I feel about Pochettino. I really don't know. And again, I don't want to be going to second place and not coming out with any trophies because I being a Chelsea fan, I want trophies every season, and I know next season is not going to be a trophy season. I would be surprised if we win any trophy next season because it's going to be a major restructuring, major stabilization mode for our club to get back on track, just to play good football. I feel because I think to keep it short, the first step, remove a lot of up with a plan, and he needs to come up with a plan ASAP. He needs to take this summer.
Quality is like Chelsea's performance this season.
Perform some. Which quality?
Zen.
I'm on the way. What do you want me to do? But no, it's overall a shitty season.
On the way to
I
see
don't have
Lampard,
much
I see.
Nothing great to say about it, but it has been a terrible season, and I'm really disappointed that it had to be like I don't even want to watch any more games. I've not watched few games seriously. When I'm
You already switched to a red shirt.
Yeah, I don't know who I'm supporting. Arsenal, United, maybe someone with the trophy. So United, yeah. I'm joking. That's about it with Chelsea, man. It's absolute
Ahmed,
crap.
go ahead.
Shambles. One word, shambles, top to bottom. From the board, directors, manager, owner, everyone shambles. Shambolic. My issue was, all right, we sat Tuchel for whatever reasons. Obviously, there was some news around that, yeah, there was some rift between the owners and he didn't have the same vision or whatever, didn't align with it. Great. But then you go on and get Potter, which I wasn't a big fan of. I mean, he was doing well at Brighton, but Brighton, Chelsea, two different ball games. The expectation levels are way different. And I mean, Brighton, they played well under him, but I didn't see anything like, wow, this guy's going to come in and like take Chelsea to the next level. I didn't see that. And then my problem was,
What's up with these Chelsea performances? What's going on? Burton, talk to me. Talk to me, Burton.
you might as well.
Yours
you might
also
as
is
well
going.
Just stick with Potter.
Okay.
Yeah. I was thinking you might as well just stick with
Guys,
Potter
internet
until the end of the
has been
season.
terrible from last year.
What's worse, your internet or your season?
Both.
No, I agree with you
yeah,
on that, King. Why I
they
thought they should have stuck with Graham Potter until the end of the season. I don't know. In my opinion, he didn't have anybody better.
Or till they finalized a candidate.
Better manager.
Yeah. I
Yeah.
just didn't understand sacking Potter and bringing Lampard in. Made no sense to me. 0 sense.
Yeah, 100%.
And then
Yep.
it just went from
Who was in a
bad to
relegation
worse.
battle with Everton, who Sean Dyche got out of.
Yeah. So all in all, shambles. Pochettino, I don't know. I'm excited because I think he can bring a lot of these players to play at a better level, but it's going to take some time because he's got a bloated squad. We need to offload major number of players, which I think will happen. And then obviously we need to sign a few players as well, right?
Mm-hmm.
And
yeah,
I really hope they're Pochettino targets because all the players we signed in this window, bar Enzo, I don't think they were like, I wouldn't class them as Graham Potter signings. So I hope that when Pochettino comes in, and I hope he's spoken about this at length, because look, it took a long time signing that contract. So I'm sure he made his wishes very clear before signing that contract. And I hope one of them was that he has a major say in the transfers. And he's just not a yes man who's going to come and say, yeah, all right, fine, you want this, I'll do this for you and all, which I thought Potter was. Or at least he seemed like that. He didn't have that fight, he didn't have that fire that I don't know, all the Chelsea managers have had over the ages. He's just so passive, so quiet. He'd come out in the post-match interviews. Yeah, the boys gave it all, and you already know what he was going to say. You don't even have to watch the post-match interview, which was like really sad. And like Jithin said, I haven't watched a Chelsea game in a long time. I think the last time I watched was like United game, and I think I watched only halftime, and then I couldn't anymore. It was really hard. It was painful.
I have no words for this season, so please ask me some questions so I can answer. Maranol and Kunaal, please go.
Kunaal, your turn. Go ahead. You have anything?
Yeah, I have some thoughts. First of all, as we've talked during the transfer window, I thought your transfer targets were very weird. The jokes about Chelsea copying everyone else's homework, it felt like that was real. Because Mudryk, like, he came out of nowhere for Arsenal. I still think he looks like he's going to be a good player, but he needs the right manager. He still has the skills. but it just felt like Bowley was making these decisions just based off like what he's hearing on the internet, what people are saying you guys are focused on. If with that money that you spent, you should have gotten a striker. Like there was a lot of positions that you could have filled in that you needed more importantly. So I agree with all of what you guys said. I think the minute Graham Potter cut his hair just to fit Chelsea, that's when it was over for you guys. He just did not exemplify what your previous seasons were, and it's a huge transition to go from like this owner that cares so much about the sport, having that passion. Like it goes from top down, right? Having a guy that cares so much about the team, so much about the sport, versus someone who's kind of just here to maybe get like a trophy cabinet and try to spend as much money and win because that's what he thinks it means to win a game. It's not about spending the money, as we saw based off your season. So just having that passion from the top down is very different. And with so many changes, it just looked like it trickled down to your players that just did not give a shit by the end of that season. They're like, why would I play for this? I'm just here for a paycheck now. That's what we're known for, is getting money and just earning that paycheck. That's what it looked like just from outside looking in, is they were there just to get their money. They didn't care about the sport. If you bring in people who care about the sport as much as the fans do, then I think it could turn around, because you do have players with that skill. You brought in a lot of good players that every team had on their target. You might have spent way too much money on them, but everyone would want to have that sort of transfer window that you did in terms of how much they spent, what they got in. So the building blocks are there. It's just getting the foundation set properly, and then you'll probably be back into that race if you can get that mentality.
Yeah, I think the ideas were right, but the execution, they got horribly wrong. I think that they were overly involved, and I think the decision making that they did make should have been left to people they employed in the footballing positions, and they tried to do everything at once. Like the Jan window, I agree, was all over the place. Like the previous window, the summer window, I don't think it was really bad, because I think they brought in like-for-like replacements for a lot of players that we left. Like we had to get in a Rudiger replacement, which Koulibaly was. We had to replace Christensen, who went for free, and they got Fofana. We needed a winger because what's his name left? Werner. So we got in Sterling. So I think that window was fine.
That was a Tuchel window, though. That was
that was a Tuchel window. So that was the owners trying to do decision making, and then they hire the two board members, the sporting directors, and then they leave the rest of the planning to them while being involved with them, which kind of threw things all over the place. So the Jan window was a completely different idea when you compare it to a summer window. So I think that the issue, and I don't completely disagree with them sacking Tuchel. If it's okay, you have a new ownership, you want to run things a certain way, fine. This person doesn't align with your way of running the club, that's fine. But the timing of doing that, and the decision making in terms of replacement is what they got wrong. Because I think they could have left Tuchel until when they hired the sporting directors, to then sit down with the sporting directors and say, okay, this is the direction we want to go. Let's look at options and stuff. They tried to do everything so quickly when they sacked Tuchel, just get rid, and moved on so many people from the club, the ground staff and everything. It's like they literally just pulled the rug from under the club, and everything just collapsed. So I think they should have executed it better after giving it more thought and more research, which they lack. So, but moving forward, I think the club first needs to be stabilized, which is why I think Pochettino is coming in, because he has that track record at Southampton, Spurs, whatever, to stabilize the club, work with young players, and consistently be at the top, top six or whatever it may be, right? And I think getting that thing right first should be the objective, and then kicking on from there. So, but yeah, long season, man. Long season.
Well, I have nothing. I don't have really any questions for you, Burton, because I think your season was a cooking enough for you guys. I mean, just watching your games was really disappointing,
I
especially
don't
for
know
how
why
much
you
you
chose to
spent.
watch it.
And I had a couple players on my freaking fantasy, which I had to let go. But in fairness, it was Reece James, but he had an injury-filled season. Um, but it was really disappointing. And for you guys to end up 11th, did you end up 11th? Correct?
Probably
This
12th or
season,
something. I wouldn't be
11th.
surprised if it's
Yeah,
12th.
that is just a huge fall from grace for a club that has spent so much.
Yeah, sure.
So, listen, I bet the London clubs are very happy to see your demise, which is I'm pretty sure Kunaal would agree on that. That Arsenal must be happy with that. But
It's
it was
okay.
very
We both ended
disappointing.
up with the same number of trophies, so it's all
Oh yeah, fair enough.
good.
It was.
But
Listen,
you
it
don't
was
hear
really.
the Champions League song anymore.
We have the
It-
Champions
it's-
League here, bro. We have two of them.
They have enough Champions Leagues. Have you guys won one yet?
Bro,
Yeah.
listen, this is what I said.
Listen, I don't want to cook Arsenal right now. Let me
One
just speak
For
to
20
Chelsea.
years, we've been winning, bro. Every year we're in finals. 20 years.
Yeah,
My
yeah.
back is aching. We've been carrying London.
But
Okay,
so
now
it's
we
not-
need a break. We need to take a rest, sip on some apple juice, just
Hey,
enjoy.
listen, no. You're my questions. Listen, no, pause. My only questions. You still have a lot of players on your books. All right. You have Lukaku still on the books.
Oh, don't even remind
What
me.
is your anticipation for
Never.
some of these players, and
Oh.
how many of these players do you want to see out? I just want to get if you
All
can give
of
me
them
a
have
quick.
to go. Honestly,
Oh damn.
when I spoke about this in our Chelsea football group, and they asked me who has to go, I told them, ask me who has to stay, because honestly, majority of the squad has to go, man. They have to go. They either pass their peak, they either can't play the football they're supposed to play, they don't have the mentality for it. It's a lot of it is a squad issue, to be honest with you. Like, of course, the manager is not capable enough for the last few managers, but it's a lot of squad issue. Like, because when Tuchel was there, he was just it was like he was like the glue. He was just papering over cracks, man. Because
You're turning water into wine, huh?
yeah,
Basically.
because honestly, man, as soon as you took that off, everything collapsed, because nobody knew what they were doing. Nobody knows what positions they're playing. Nobody knows their roles. They're trying to do too much. They're trying to do nothing at the same time. Like, look at Gallagher. Like, he runs around like he doesn't know what's going on, bro. Like, I don't understand. It's insane. Like, seriously.
Listen, it's crazy that because a season ago we are like, oh my god, Gallagher has so much
Yeah,
potential. Let's
yeah.
see what he's playing, and then he actually started playing, and we're like,
Exactly.
but
what's going on?
is it the
And you
is
guys
it-
didn't
is it-
sell him for 40 million to
Everton.
Kunaal, but 40 million
Everton.
to Everton. You know what I mean? So, anyways, yep.
But it's not. I don't think it's the players, to be honest. I think the way
What do you mean?
it all worked out.
Kunal, but
All
in their
these-
performances, there was no fight. I'll agree with that. Like,
A
you
lot
could
of it is
see
on
in
the
the
players.
games.
A
Yes,
lot of
there's
it
a
is
lot
on-
of it. But I mean, also, like, we knew that y'all needed a striker for such a long time. Y'all didn't address that big issue, which should have been something that should have been addressed at some point, at least with all of these transfers. But I felt like that wasn't even addressed. The
I
striking
think
issue.
the striker was addressed,
Um,
but then it wasn't handled properly. Like, they brought in Aubameyang, but it felt like they brought in Aubameyang just because they had to replace the striker. And whenever the sacking happened and all of that, they didn't. Aubameyang was just abandoned. Like, nobody even heard of where this guy was
Mhm.
anymore.
Actually, Kunal, I think I know what you had meant was like it cannot all go on the players. It's definitely the
No.
board, and I think Todd Bowley and the ownership have to take a huge accountability on that. For how, because at the end of the day, it's always top down. How a club functions is from top down.
So what I will say is, like, again, I'm not the biggest fan of Chelsea, as you know. I've never spoken very highly of them, but their culture around the team for the last 20 years had been phenomenal. What changed was what happened this season. There's so much that happened. Also, like, the shock that your fan base and then your players and everyone have gone through with, like, having to have your owner step down, sell the team, blah blah blah. There's like a lot of stuff that emotionally these players went through, and like,
Yeah.
that can, like, I don't blame the players, because that stuff can, like, really sink on you when you're getting all these mentions in your Twitter about all this type of stuff too. We're in that type of generation where, like, you can literally have mental health issues because of what people are just yelling about you on the internet, on TV, blah blah blah. So, like, they just need someone to bring and that's why it's bad that you got rid of Tuchel, because he's that guy that papers over the crack and gets those guys right in their head. Bringing in a guy like Graham Potter, he came from Brighton. He's come from a life of no expectations. Whatever he's done, he's exceeded, but he's never had this expectation of coming into a team that spent so much money to build a squad like this and then have them succeed. So bringing a guy like Aubameyang in, right? He's never really managed a player like that who's had that sort of mentality about himself and had that I guess cockiness and all that type of stuff, right? He's brought these young players that Brighton system is known for building these players and then selling them to bigger clubs. So I think just it started off with bringing in Potter, who is, I still think, a decent enough coach, but it was just the wrong decision in every single.
Listen, top clubs in the Premier League is a whole different ball game, and that's what it is. It's not, and this is why it's so critical getting the right person to get to the job and ensuring that ownership and the management are on the right page. Because if all of them are in cohesion, that's when you get unfortunately, a club like City right now who are just building dynasties. Yes, the money helps, but also it's how you spend the money, how you organize it. As soon as Pep went in there, once the money was coming in, the structure, he started getting all the people from Barcelona to, directors and scouts and all of these already establishing a certain structure and everything. But this is what I mean. Sometimes you just need to have a good cohesion with that. And Chelsea is a pure example of right now this season. It was upside down. And I mean, I'm not going to United too for all these years. We still have an issue. One thing we did address, though, I think we addressed at least the coaching side of it, which has really helped kind of stabilize us a little bit.
Yeah, you brought in structure, bringing in Ten Hag in versus the few that you had before.
Structure and discipline. Structure, discipline, consistency.
Yeah, because the structure just switched. If you look at our previous structure, it was very simple. It was just Petacek, Marina, and the coach. Mm-hmm. That's it. There are less hands in the pot, and decision making is quicker, and that's how it. And that's why the hiring and firing worked, because now you try to put in a proper structure and you pull out the rug from underneath, and everyone else with no proper transition, you just flick the switch. It's going to collapse. What do you expect?
Like a snowball effect.
Yeah, it's just because if you look at when we won the league in 2017, right? We didn't build properly from there. All that has caught up to us. We Hazard was the one. We spoke about these so many times with so many different football groups. Hazard just
never replaced Hazard.
Yeah. And we didn't build around Hazard properly. No. We didn't build to be a consistently succsuccessful club, although we still pulled it off.
And you still won titles during that.
Exactly. So what he did wasn't normal, man. What Abramovich did, because if you're trying to be successful long term, the way City is, City from scratch, if you look at their youth teams, they're three-peat winners. They're under 18 FA three-peat winners. Their women's team is insane. The men's team is insane. Their youth system is crazy. Everything's done the right way, and they got the right coach. That was the main thing, man. Getting in Guardiola was the main thing, but he also had that set up for him, which hand in glove, just fit. So yeah, man, that's the benchmark across Europe right now. So
yeah, man. And I think they might. I really think that he's gonna win the Champions League this season, man. Honestly,
I hope. So it's the only time I'll be backing Lukaku for the rest of my life.
Yeah. Someone needs to stop that trouble, and I don't know if I want United to stop that trouble. I wish the Champions League final was before the FA Cup final, so they could lose that, and I would be at peace with them winning against United.
We can only pray right now.
But he has the potential to get something that no one else has done in the league, which is 4 titles in a row.
It's going to be insane. I don't know who's going to stop them, to be honest.
This is why I didn't understand why all of the United fans were against Arsenal winning the league or trying to win the league, because this is taking away from your heritage.
Oh no! See that?
Yeah,
but
it's
okay. Let's not start this again now.
Yeah. Before we go into that, let's not go into it.
We'll just wrap it up. But we'll try and do something in between, maybe a team of the season or something, and then do a preview talk and something. But yeah, share, subscribe, all that fun stuff. We'll be back soon.